Welcome to West of Tulsa. I'm CJ Ward, and we are broadcasting from Ventura, California, and we have an interesting show today. We have a packed house. Every chair is full. This is pretty exciting.
Yes.
All right, we got Dan at the controls.
Yes, sir.
Gabe is here.
You.
And Helm and Beth still aren't here.
Yeah.
There'd be
They're
no place
alive.
for him to sit anyway if they were
Yeah,
here.
exactly. You're right. There's no room for him anyway.
Beth would have to sit on your lap,
Yeah.
and Helm would have to sit on Gabe's lap.
Oh, I wouldn't
and
mind that at all.
It'd be bad.
Gabe wouldn't mind that
yeah.
either.
Yeah, Gabe wouldn't. Gabe would dig that.
I might mind. I might.
Because you have to witness it, right?
Helm would dig
Oh,
that.
man.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this is an interesting show. It's a hot rod / Honda, or Honda / hot rod. I don't know, however
That's how you dice it,
you
yeah.
want to do it.
Yeah.
And we got 4 guys here from, I have to be careful how we say this. Because what I want to say is, I'll just say Spearmint Dyno. There are 4 guys from, okay. And we'll get the story about where the name came
3
from.
of
and
them
all
are.
that. 3 of them.
John is the.
I'm just a loner.
Yeah, I'm gonna, let's do this. I'm gonna have you do the introductions. Let's do that. That's probably introduce everybody.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, to your left, CJ, is Eric Vanoni, co-owner of Spearmint Dyno. Next to him is Dustin Leon Guerrero. Yep. I said it right.
Yeah, you said it right.
No,
Wow.
co-owner.
You can remember all that. I'm impressed.
Well, I lost something else by after I said that. And then next to him is Jojo Maxwell.
Yes, sir.
And you're associated with these fellas, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
At least they gave you a shirt to.
They give me a
look
nice
like.
shirt.
Yeah. And then sitting to the left of me is Jon Urban.
Yeah. I'm just a loner. I'm just
Jeez, where did this guy come from now?
they saw me on the street. They're like, hey, he has a Honda. Let's pull him in.
A beautiful Honda.
Oh, is
by the
that
way.
your
Yeah.
Honda out there?
Yeah.
Look familiar?
I rarely pull it out anymore.
Yeah, I've never seen the
it's
car, but it's
mostly on the
clean.
weekends. Thanks. Yeah.
Saw it on your social media. Beautiful photos.
yeah,
of
it's all
Yeah,
over.
it's all over the place.
Would you say
Yeah,
that
welcome.
that Civic made you famous?
I guess you can say that. Like,
Because at least in Ventura, everybody knows your car. They might not know who you are, but you say purple Civic, they're like, "Oh, that guy."
a lot of my friends that I hang out with now, they first knew me as the Purple Civic guy. So they didn't even know my name. Like I was in a group chat with a couple of people, and they're like, "What's your name again?" I just know you as the Purple Civic guy.
The purple Civic guy.
Okay.
It's like the purple people eater.
Yeah.
Well, I can see why. I mean, I love the color on it.
Yeah,
Beautiful car.
What's
Yeah.
funny is it's not technically purple. It's called Camellia Red.
Oh.
And so, but it's purple.
That's a hell of a red.
Yeah.
Trying to mess with your head is what
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, this will be fun because, Spearmint Dyno. Talk about, who founded it and how'd you guys come up with the name? And what do you guys do? Let's start off with that.
So Dustin and I started it. Started off just as kind of a hobby shop, and then about 1.5 years ago, decided to go full time on it. Dustin came up with the name. If you want to tell him about that, man.
Oh, yeah. So the name, we were working at another location, and we were working at Willwood, and we were trying to come up with a name. And this is when we started to acquire the lifts, and the dyno was acquired. And like Eric was saying, it started out as a hobby, because I was tuning on the side at the time, and then Eric's always had the past in building, and I mean, even at first, like he was saying, like, I don't know if I'm gonna like this guy when I started to work at Willwood, because I have a different energy. My energy is a little higher, right? But just through the community of cars, I mean, my older brother used to race Mustangs, and then we started talking, and then we ended up knowing associates, like friends, and it was just like, boom, that linked us up. So then we ended up kind of fast forward a little back into where we were acquiring all the stuff, and we were like using the shop as like a hobby place.
While you guys were working at Willwood?
At Willwood, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, you have to offset that income.
Yeah, sure.
But and so we're trying to come up with names, and I had like a list of names that we just kept shooting at Eric, and he had the same feeling as I did. They all sounded the same. Sounds the same as any other shop. It just, you could put speed in front of it, you could put performance behind it, you could
Performance Dyno.
exactly
Racing, motorsports, motorworks.
Yeah.
Everybody
And
uses it.
there's 2 of us in it, so it's not like, because at the time I ran under Dustiki Tune. That was, as a tuner, I was known for tuning that, right?
Still are.
And still are. But we're doing something together, and then the shop needed a name, and I mean, I have Jojo in my life, and my brother-in-law both came from the club, Spearmint Dyno, right? But I was just, I have that smart aleck mentality.
When you say came from the club,
the club, like Jojo
Yeah, I was
worked
a
for
manager.
Jojo,
He was a manager?
you worked at
Dancer?
the Spearmint Dyno.
Were you a dancer?
No.
You got to ask.
And people who don't know Spearmint Rhino, it's a gentleman's club.
It's a gentleman's club.
There we go.
Gentlemen,
Okay.
And this is a
I haven't
gentleman's
seen one
sport.
gentleman
Yeah, that's
there.
it.
Ladies dance there.
Yeah. Oh, so you didn't dance then?
No,
Okay.
I got
Aw,
a full
man.
beard.
All right.
I got a full beard.
But yeah, so I was on the throne one morning, and I was like, I got the perfect name, Eric, and I sent it over to him, and it was Spearmint Dyno, and I thought like really it would really connect because people are going to remember the name. And not many women were trying to beef up their cars, and those are rare. You know, we all know in this they're rare. You all get the same look when you see.
they are
it.
there.
They are there,
Yeah.
but they're rare.
Yeah.
But most people out here who are going to be doing this, they know how to make the connection, just as I did, and when he did, and it was like, all right, yeah, let's run with it. And it was kind of like a flying joke for a little bit, but it
Caught on.
It really did catch on.
Yeah,
it did what it was supposed to do. So
And you're right. You remember it.
Yeah.
Remember it.
Yeah, you remember it.
Oh yeah.
They
When,
were-
every
arguing.
time I talk to somebody about it, or I mention it to the guys on the show, they do a double check, like, "What?"
Yeah.
And they'll never forget it.
Great name. It does
Yeah.
stick in your head. It's
Of course,
like,
you,
you're never
you find
gonna
out
forget that.
who's familiar with it,
Well,
who's been to the club before. Like,
What was our? We have a new slogan we want to start putting on there. And it's like Spearmint Dyno, where your dollar goes fast. Right? So,
There you
more
go.
ways
where your
one.
dollar
Yeah.
more ways than one,
Exactly.
right? So
Well, Beth this morning, she's like, "So who's the guest for the first show?" And I said, "It's a group of guys from Spearmint Dyno." Like, what? What are you talking about? What kind of show is this? Yeah.
Hey, how does Beth
She's
know
fine
about
with it.
Spearmint?
Yeah.
There's one in Santa Barbara. There used to be.
There is one?
Yeah, there's one in Santa
Yeah,
Barbara.
there is.
Right off
There is.
401. You
Yeah, I
drive
can
past it.
confirm
I'm
that.
like,
yep,
wow.
yeah,
Hey,
so-
just real quick. I know this is a car show, but I gotta ask, what's it like being a manager at Spearmint Rhino, dude?
You know, it's a great place to work. It's honestly, it is.
It's not a toxic work environment.
You know, there is joy in everything, and you got to be open to the joy.
Man,
No, there's
I
an
really,
open-ended
Yeah,
answer.
exactly. I really want to pull that thread, but I'll just keep this thing moving forward. I'll ask you off air.
There we go.
Well, so Spearmint Dyno obviously gives you a sense of what you guys do, but in more detail, tell us, what is Spearmint Dyno? What do you guys do for folks?
And just about anything automotive, except for painting and transmissions. Bring in full cars, do full custom builds. We'll do maintenance. We'll do tune-ups. Everything from your mom's daily driver to a full-blown race car.
whatever pays the
Exciting.
bills.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and import, domestic, no German cars. But
We tried it. Hey, to be fair, we did try it once.
tried
and
it.
then
It
we
was-
realized
You
that's
didn't
not our
like
cup
it.
of tea.
Okay.
We got
Yeah.
other people who have those shops, and we just send it to them. It was
Yeah.
no problem.
Was it a BMW?
Yes,
or
it
was. I called it. Gabe. I called it.
It was an old one. Too.
yeah,
knew
it was I think it was 68, 2002.
Ooh, yeah.
Oh, that wasn't even a new one with all the crap on it.
No,
But
it
it was-
had crap on it though.
It was yeah. The dude had torn it apart and repainted it, and then he's like, "Hey, put it back together and wire it." Like, all right.
yeah.
Oh man.
Was that a money loser for you guys? Was it like, we're buried?
Yeah, I mean we
We were fresh.
were fresh, so we were
Yeah.
taking on anything.
Yeah, yeah.
and it paid our rent for a while, but yeah, we didn't make much on it.
Yeah.
But learn though.
We learned a lot.
Learn that you don't want to do it.
Exactly.
That too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So no Mercedes, no Porsche.
No more shadies. No
But it's
more-
just saying the fact that you're doing both import and domestic. I've known Eric for quite a few years now. Before he had the shop, and I think even before you were at Willwood.
Yeah.
And when Eric and I were talking one day, and he says, "Yeah, we're going to open up a shop." I'm like, "Oh, cool!" And then I saw that you guys started your Instagram, and at the time, I was looking for somewhere to take my race car to, and I was like, "Well, I don't know, we'll see, what's going on." Because then I would see on their Instagram all these Hondas that they were dynoing. And look, I'm just full disclosure. I was like, I don't want to take my car to a Honda shop. No offense to the Honda guys, sorry, but I just didn't want to because I don't have a Honda. It's a different
Anymore,
car.
right?
We're going
Anymore.
to change that. They're going to remember our name.
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
No. Hey,
Good things
well,
for
well
Honda.
here's the thing, because I've known Eric because Eric had, he's got a pretty bitchin' Chevy pickup with LS and a set of twins on it, right?
Single.
A single
Yeah.
so Brian and things does the business, and of other hot rods that he had. So when I was like, "Why, dude, Eric's driving an import now? Like what?" And he said something. He said something. Oh yeah. Well, he said something to me that I'll never forget, and I'm actually I believe it 100%. He says all my friends, they all run imports and Hondas or whatever, and that's what I'm gonna run because I want to run with my friends. And I was like, you know what? Heck yeah, dude, because that's why I got into racing. I don't want to race by myself. You know, I race with my friends, or I race with the crew, or I race with the guys, and that's why I have rotaries because all my buddies have rotaries. That's how I got into the rotaries, you know. And I was like, man, that's cool. I was like, you're going out there having a good time.
Yep.
You're not trying to go get, you know, you're not clout chasing. You're not,
Right.
you know, you're just trying to have fun. And I was just like, you know what? Amen to that, brother. Because I was like, that's the way to do it.
Oh,
you know?
I want him to bring that V8 out.
Oh, I want him to. I mean, oh, I see why you.
Yes.
Well, not to ignore John. You are the loner here.
I am. Oh well.
But you're here because you a Honda owner as well, but you have a hot rod history, like with your dad growing, especially here in Ventura, right?
Yeah,
Can you
so-
explain that a little bit?
So yeah, I'm like born and raised Ventura here. My dad pretty much lived here his whole life. Same with my well, my mom lived in Florida for a little bit, but basically out here in Southern California. And my dad has a '69 SS El Camino. It's not a real SS. Don't let him know I said you that. But it's actually, but unless you look at the VIN, you would not know.
Yeah.
And so originally it was a 6-cylinder car. He lived right by Sarah School growing up. And down the street from him, a neighbor had this El Camino, that particular one. They put like a little camper shell on it. It was a straight 6-car, solid column,
Stock,
basic.
Yeah, okay.
And he always had hot rods. And my Uncle George had a shop down by Smoggy's. And my dad worked at that shop before he went to the service. And even after he went into the service, he worked there when he came back. And that El Camino he's had forever. Now he's had a couple engines in it, and now it's a V8, but it has all the SS bits. Right now it's been in pieces for like the last, well, I wouldn't say it's in pieces, but it hasn't been on the road for about 14 years.
Oh.
But that's because he put me and my sister through college and family, so that car always like kind of stayed off to the side. He bought an engine when I'm going to be 30, so when I was about 14, he bought an engine from Phoenix Engine Builders. And it was just it's just a 350, high output 350, cams and heads, whatever you wanted, bells and whistles. And he put it in the car with me and my cousin, and I was like a little kid. And my cousin was about almost my age at that time. And it did its first fire up 4 years ago. Like he put it in the car, and it stayed
Started.
in it. He never started it. He put it in the car. And well, it's because like 2008 happened, and then I went to college. My sister went to college. So when I started really building my Honda and getting into it, that's where I think something clicked in my dad's brain. He's like, I don't want to get
Go
that
back
thing.
to that, yeah.
I want to go back to it.
Finish it up.
Yeah, so I remember like I did the Willwood brakes on it when I was like 17. Like he let me put them on there and he checked it and everything. And then the car sat for so long. He had all this polished aluminum all on the engine, and the car sat outside under a tent.
Wow.
So you would always see this white tent in front of my parents' house, and it had this car in it. And yeah, like eventually we pulled it into the garage and everything. But it's funny because like now he starts it when he wants to start it, and that thing is freaking loud.
Yeah.
And I think all that's left to do to it is paint it. And the same guy that painted my car is actually the same guy that's going to be painting his car.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, it's actually
So it'll be on the road soon.
So
it's technically he can throw it on the
You
road
could
right
do
now.
it.
but-
He's just not,
It's
though.
interesting because your dad and your uncle ran with all the guys, like the local hot rod guys in Ventura, like Frank Saenz and you know that same whole crowd. And I think Steve Feist might even know who your dad and who your uncle were. Steve Feist was a former guest on our show. He was a local hot rod guy as well. All this hot rod history in your life, and then you have a Honda. That was the part that kind of confused me. How did you go from growing up with all this hot rod like nostalgia and heritage and all that stuff, and just your dad to wanting a Honda? How did you get into that?
So this is going to sound cliche, but like I didn't really choose the Honda Life. The Honda Life chose me.
Hey, that's an accurate statement.
So
Oh, this okay. I can't wait to hear this.
So when it came time for me to be, when I was approaching the age that you get your first car, I was like, my dad's like, okay, well, you have a choice. Like we can either get you a really nice car for your graduation present, or we can put you to college. I chose college. And then, I still needed a car. So like, we'll get you a cheap car. Back then, I would get magazines, like Super Street magazines and Honda Tuning, Import was the other one, Import Mag, all those ones. DC was another one called like DC Sports or something like that. And there's one magazine that had old school Japanese cars on it. and the cover car was a 72 Skyline. Obviously, I can never get one of those.
Yeah.
But in there was a old Toyota Corolla. Went on Craigslist, and my first car was actually supposed to be a 73 Toyota Corolla coupe. In bright orange with the fender flares.
Oh, nice.
Watanabe wheels and everything. The guy only wanted $4,000 for it. This is before they blew up.
Yeah.
The guy backed out at the last second, and my dad's like, "Well, we need you to get a car because you're gonna be going to college." So he's like, "What about Honda?" So my first car was a '93 coupe, and I think like a month into college, I wrecked it. I rear-ended a minivan at like 50 miles an hour, like going on Mills Road.
man.
And in my defense, I was a 17-year-old kid, and I was playing with my radio, and
At least you weren't texting.
I wasn't. No, I couldn't because like my phone was like one of those flip phones that were out there. Like I didn't have an
I'll tell you
iPhone.
back then.
Yeah.
I college.
So
for me
you're
was
the
20.
reason why they got to be 18 to have a license now.
I have not had an accident since. But yeah, then so what happened was that a couple days later, car was gone. Basically, car was totaled. Well, me and my dad, we drove around. We shared his truck. Like I would drop him off at work, and then go out to Kalu. I'd come back from Kalu, and after baseball practice, because I played baseball in college, pick him up, take him home. Then I'll have to drive back up there because I had a night job at the campus.
Wow.
Oh, man.
So, and his little Ford pickup Ranger. Eventually, he got sick and tired of that. So he said, "Okay, we're going to get you another car. It has to be automatic, and you have to pay it off before you can do anything to it." And that is that purple car that's out there.
Wow. That purple car was an automatic?
It was an automatic.
Oh, wow.
So we bought that car, bought it out in Whittier in a trailer park, half covered with a
I've done a
purple
trip
tent.
like that.
Yeah,
I've done a Whittier trip before.
yeah. So we bought it out there. It was in a covered with a blue tent, and blue tent tarp thing. And then he test drove it around their trailer home park. Yeah, it's good enough. Drove it home, and yeah, eventually like I didn't have that much money to do anything to it. Like eventually, like I would do a little thing here, and then pretty much the next thing you know is like, oh, I want to make it a manual. Well, I still have this manual transmission from my old wreck car. Figured out how to do it. Okay, we did it in our driveway, and pretty much like it just
fun.
kept going, And then my dad told me like I really wanted to get an FCRX7 too. That's when I really started getting into like the import stuff. I really was like, dang, I wanted to get something like that.
You never wanted to get into the hot rods or any of that stuff like your dad?
At that point, I was working at a shop out in Simi Valley, Auto Obsession. My boss Trevor, he's awesome. If he ever watches this, dude, you're awesome. I'm still friends with him too. Like whenever we see each other, like at Cars and Coffees, up like the county line Cars and Coffee or whatever, I always say hi, hey, what's up? Like he was a really cool guy. But I saw a lot of hot rod guys come in. I would always see the cars. I loved it. I never saw them as something that I can obtain. Especially then, because I was a young kid. I didn't have my career set and didn't have any of that. So I was like, well, let's just keep building the Honda. And I saved up for a couple years just to get that car painted. And when the car got painted, that's when things started taking off a little bit. And my dad told me, he's like, you're probably not going to be able to afford your dream car outright. You might as well build it. You're going to spend more money, but at least it'll be yours. So eventually, like how that car kind of came to be. It's had stages.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's been.
That's cool.
Is that how the
It's a good
Honda
ride.
life got?
I don't know. Was that always your dream car?
It was never my dream car.
Yeah, that's usually how it works too.
I hated it.
Neither was my hatch. My hatch was not my
mean,
dream car.
I hated it.
The Hondas that I had were the same thing. It was because it was cheap at the time. It was cheap. Now I think it's not cheap anymore.
It's not cheap.
But it was like the easiest point of entry into racing was buy a $500 Honda Civic or whatever, or have someone give it to you, a hand me down, and then do a bunch of dumb stuff and just kind of throw money at it and dump parts and break stuff and
Do it again.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure that's how it was back in the day in the 50s. You can get a hot rod for, well, at the time
$500.
they probably weren't hot rods back then. They were just old muscle cars.
Yeah, just those 55 Chevys that no one wanted back
Yeah,
then.
yeah,
exactly.
So,
Yeah.
that's the thing I find interesting is there's a lot of lineage to the Honda guys growing up in the last 20, 30, if not 40 years to the guys doing the hot rods back in the. Now the cars were built completely different. I get that, but I feel like, especially the import guys, especially the Honda guys, they get the bad rap because of all the shenanigans that most. Well, I'm not saying all, but a lot of Honda guys, we all know them. Yeah. Doing dumb stuff with, as Dan likes to call, the fart cans.
I still call them fart cannons. I don't like that. I needed an oval style.
That's how I met
muffler.
this guy. I'm sorry to me.
Oh no, you're.
We're gonna get there. Actually.
Oh, actually,
we're going there.
Oh, no, let's go there because you guys have. So how you guys met was pretty interesting. Tell us how you guys met.
You got to go back and shout out to Ali though.
Oh yeah,
That's where it started.
I have it from.
He's still alive, right? Your
Yeah,
friend?
he's,
Okay.
he's still alive and kicking.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Right now, he's pain in my side, but you know. No, we're all good. We're all good. Ali from Ali Garage. I was friends with him in the past for a long time, and then I was racing in the streets, you know, of Mexico, and I never did like meets. Never liked meets. So we went to meets, and because it was something to do with the community, and then I met Dustin at a meet, and then there was this kid that had a. Can we cuss on there?
Yeah, you
Cuss away.
So there was this kid that had a "fuck Honda" sticker on his neon.
Yep.
And I hated it
I got
I
him.
hated it so bad. And at the time, I had a B20 VTEC turbo, and you know, biggest balls in the world on 8 pounds. You know, and then, so I used to run around terrorizing people, and I tried to terrorize this guy.
Dustin, you tried to terrorize Dustin.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because our mutual friend Alex, and I met Alex on Craigslist back in the days. You know, so we went. You know, it started with Auto Trader, right? That's when you're gonna find your cars through an Auto Trader.
yeah.
If you're at the restaurant, you can have breakfast. You grab that thing, it was free in the front. You're sitting down waiting for your food after you order, and you're going through an Auto Trader, right?
Yeah.
So then became then with Craigslist when it was hot. You know, you didn't have to pay, and that's where it was at. Yeah, so I'd met Alex there. Remember, because I bought the 4-door. I bought a 4-door Integra because I grew up on. I learned on my grandma's '89 Legend, and that's how I knew I wanted it. I wanted a
Baller Honda right there, dog.
No, but it was the maroon one. So it was real purple, like purpler than your purple car,
Yeah.
right? So it was the maroon one, and it was an '89, and it was a 5-speed, right? So I'm. You know, learning on that, it had the V6 in it, so I had like a C something motor. So it was almost it's almost like the NSX motor of its time, right? And so I thought that's cool, you know. So my first car I bought was a '90 Legend, but it was Triptronic, you know. So thought that was cool too until the trans went. But so I wanted something. So when I came into like wanting to work on these things and build my own, I wanted the 4-door Integra. It was what was that?
DA.
91? Yeah, the DA. Yeah, it was a DA. So the 90, and it was real clean.
It was real nice.
Real nice. Yeah. So
One of the cleanest.
yeah.
You don't see those around anymore. Like,
no,
not the
and I
4
wrecked it,
Out of
dude.
all the DAs that you see, you never
I
see a
was
4-door.
hurt. I was hurt.
Yeah.
Speaking of 4-door Integras, CJ,
Yeah.
Honda owner, 4-door GSR.
GSR.
94?
95.
95.
Oh, yeah.
GSR Integra. He purposely wanted that car.
Does it have a B17?
Yeah, it'll be 18.
No,
The
he had
B18,
18 because it was 93. It was the B17.
Yeah,
the
93.
massive motor.
Yeah. So he had the B18C.
So it's so funny you bring that up. So that's like the same motor I had. So I had a 2-door DA. It was a red one. So it was like, it was 93. And I had a GSR turbo. That's when he had his B20 turbo. And he came out swinging at me. And I'm new, right? The only, the difference is like,
It
I
was,
was
it was
pounds.
pumped up by Ali.
Okay,
I
so your
exaggerated.
friend Ali instigated.
Oh, yeah.
That's the genesis because I don't know if you guys. Well, you guys don't know this if you don't follow them. If you follow these guys on Instagram, it's hilarious.
Oh, yeah.
All the
dude, it makes
shit
my day.
That you guys. Oh yeah, it is. We even talked about. You didn't even know him.
No, I don't even know this. This is
you-
the first time I've seen this
And you
guy.
saw all the smack that they talk online.
yeah.
And at first, I was just like, I had to ask. I was like, "Hey, Eric, are these guys cool? I can't tell, man." But so anyways, so Ali got you guys instigated you guys to
got
lock
us
up a race.
Yeah, lock up a race on a night, and all
Oh
on
yeah,
the one. It was. I'll never
it
forget
was-
it.
It was hard. It was chase is a race. You break, you pay.
These are his words. His words. Keep going.
No jump on the line.
Keep going.
This my flagger only.
Loser what?
You know, loser. What was it? Oh, so
Loser what?
We were not. We were trying to be on the same side, but punch each other.
Mm-hmm.
So we were like, loser gets pays for Jack in the Box for our dinner. So we lined it up in Mexico, and
High stakes.
right after one of these meets, and I guess I don't know.
I know.
I think I know who won.
I brought the car out, and and it's we line it up, and we take off. I hit third gear, and third gear just I just started hearing crackling and popping, and then didn't hear anything else.
No, you heard me go by. You
Oh,
heard me.
I heard him go by. But he will tell you I was in front of him.
So you got him off the dig?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
then
he's in a caged, gutted EG hatch B20 turbo. He had way more driving experience than me.
Oh yeah.
You know,
he
I
couldn't
didn't
launch the car.
Yeah, I didn't. You know, I was on Kumo Extadas or whatever those tires are.
Extas.
Yeah, so I was on
Extas.
those on fit wheels. So I had a DA on fit wheels. It looked clean. It was a red DA.
It was very nice.
Yeah, it was nice. And then, but yeah,
My engine blew.
His engine blew.
Oh.
That turbo is on that car out there.
Yeah. Oh, you brought it.
Oh yeah.
All right.
I told you. I heard
Yeah, I
it.
did hear
I
it.
told you.
So you guys met because of a race?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh well, your friend Ali,
Yeah.
the matchmaker, basically to.
Oh yeah,
Did you guys-
there was a bunch after to follow that. It was really cool. That's how I grew in my mechanicing skills with Hondas, and that's where I learned a lot. I learned a lot from him. I learned a lot from Alex. That's why I always shoot him out, give him a shout out. That was my mentor, and I always give him the respect he deserves on that.
We
Because
learned from each other.
Yeah, and I learned from a lot of them because they were already doing this. It's just, you know, I was a sponge, man. I was thirsty, you know, so I just kept learning and learning. So you give me a little, and I boom, 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 learn a lot.
Yeah.
And then and I learned I didn't want to pay for tunes anymore, so that's when I started tuning.
Wow.
You know, so it's
So
a lot.
all you guys are self-taught, like you learn on your own cars? Is that how you guys kind of got to this point of working on?
Yeah, I think once you're most comfortable with your own car, you'll work on somebody else's.
For the
first.
most part.
Sure. Yeah.
I started with a '67 Buick Riviera though.
Oh damn.
GS. That was my
Nice.
grandma's car, and then it's funny. I have a history of blowing motors. Now that I think about it, but I blew I blew that motor, and I gave it to my mom to fix, and then she said I'll fix it up and everything. And long story short, she was like, "Sell it to me," and I was like, "No, I need a car." And then at the time, I was trying to transition into racing. This is pre Fast and the Furious, but. In Super Tuning Mag and all that good stuff. I seen a Honda and I was like, what? A Honda did that to a V8? And I was hooked. And then, so I bought a 92 Civic and then stayed with that platform. And eventually you got to see it. Yeah. I still have it, actually.
Oh, yeah.
So you got the Honda because it was like you saw the potential that like you be the spoiler. You seem to be like the kind of guy I like to spoil some guy's night.
Yeah.
By
That's Jojo.
Yeah, okay.
Ruin your whole day.
That's why the Honda thing for me, you know, because I fell into it because it was a car that was given to me in high school, and I just kind of dealt with it. And then I found out what nitrous could do, and then I was, you know, and then I felt like I can beat like a Mustang on the street. Back then, if I beat a Mustang, that's all I cared about. I didn't care about, and, you know, so cheap power, I can beat V8. So then it became like, oh, I wanted to have an import that beat a domestic car, and that's why I never looked back. I mean, I always wanted Novas and Chevelles and stuff like that, but couldn't afford it or didn't know anybody that did it.
Right.
Right. So I just did the Hondas because that's what all my buddies, my cousins were doing that. So I just kind of got into
And
that.
now you look back and can't stand your younger self. Huh? That's how it is. That's what it is.
I try to forget my past, but it's what got me here. You know, that's why I can appreciate the Hondas on a different level because, especially today, what they can do. They could do something. I mean, you got them cresting 690s now in the quarter.
Mm-hmm.
You know, doing 107. That is scary shit.
Speed Factory clipped almost 200.
No, over 2.
Over 2.
200 in a
Front wheel
Civic.
drive.
Yeah.
Front wheel drive.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
crazy to
Yeah.
me. In the quarter
Scary.
mile. In the quarter mile. You know, so it's like hats off to that. And I think that's what I like interesting about the hot rod thing is that the hot rodders, I don't know, at least a lot of them that I know either can't accept it or just kind of like negate it by saying, oh, it's because it's a tin can. I was like, who cares if it's a tin can?
That's the name of the game, isn't it? Power to weight.
Yeah.
Well, they
but-
usually just like kind of like shoo you off. a
Yeah,
little
I mean,
bit, so.
I'll admit for a while there I was a Honda hater after I got out of the Hondas, of course. But I was a Honda hater because like I was like, oh, these little things they don't make that much power. They don't do it. And then next thing you know, you've got an all motor one doing 8s and 9s and stuff like that. And you're like, wow, I can't ignore that. Hondas are
takes a
fast.
lot.
It takes a lot. And,
It takes a lot.
And they're no longer cheap now. You know, so to get that kind of power, you got to spend a lot of money, a lot of
Well,
time.
I will say, I mean, over many generations, I've had, you know, V8s and, you know, the GSR and Volkswagens
And Honda XLs.
and BMWs. I had a Honda XL, but we're not supposed to talk about that car. It got me where I needed to go.
A to B.
But I will say this: what I loved about the GSR, the second I got into that car, was that high rev.
Yep.
Oh man! And the funny thing about the GSR is when I was driving that car, I'm just loving it. My favorite car. Oh my god, this is amazing. And then maybe I'd had for maybe a year, and some guy walks up and goes, "Man, isn't it awesome when that VTEC kicks in?" And I'm like, "VTEC kicks in?" I was like, yeah. Once you hit, was it 65, 6,000, 65, somewhere right around there. Yeah. Once you get up to that, man, back kicks in. I'm like, I've had this car for a year and I haven't done this. Who the freak am I? It's kind of stupid. So the first time I did it, man.
You never seen something go to 8 before,
Oh
huh?
man.
Yeah.
Damn.
It comes quick, huh?
Wish I would have learned about that faster.
Wait, so then when you found out about VTEC kicking in, which I think is hilarious.
Yeah, it's so funny.
When you did it, what was your reaction?
It's like, why
Can you make the
hell-
face? What face did you make when you
I
did it?
don't even know. Like I'm an idiot. I'm a fucking idiot. I don't know. But I had that car almost 20 years. Love that car.
That's awesome.
Man, it was a great car. One of my favorite cars. And then I gave it to my oldest daughter, and she was T-boned.
Oof.
But she liked that car. Didn't she take
I'll
that
take
on the
the
track?
engine.
Yeah, she took it out. She took it to a Porsche driving class. So 5-speed. Here's this 18-year-old with a stick shift driving this GSR, and all the dads are going, "Watch, no, it's a stick shift. Watch, manual, watch, downshifting." Yeah, Katie.
That's cool.
Proud
she lit
dad
it up
moment
in
right
that
there.
car. Yeah,
Right.
totally. So all the dads were blown away by this car zipping around the track. But
Yeah, because I had a GSR, a '94 GSR with a Type R swap in, and I loved it. It was a great car. I just sold it because I was afraid it was going to get jacked because it would have gotten jacked.
There was that time, huh? I mean, I know it still happens, but that time
Oh, it
was
was
around.
anywhere, man. Ventura, Oxnard, LA, wherever you go, it was nowhere was safe.
Yeah, you get followed.
And I did get followed, even through the canyon. I was like, okay, this is ridiculous. So I just got rid of it. And here's the crazy part. I got every dime I put into it back, which was crazy. That's like unheard of.
Right.
So I was like, that was like a win for me. I got a free car out of it. I do miss it somewhat, but
You got some cool stuff now.
Yeah, you got some pretty cool stuff.
yeah, it's all right. It's all right. It's all right. But
Fun fact about that transmission, you can do 155 in a quarter mile stock.
with a
GSR.
stock transmission.
Stock GSR.
Really?
I have the time slip.
Yep.
wow.
Yep.
It's good to know.
Dang.
It's good to know because I have that in my car right now. So
Stock GSR.
Yep.
I don't want to know what that car feels like at 150.
It's scary.
yeah. You want to check every brake you got.
Yeah, I mean I got Porsche brakes on my car, so
Oh,
But don't
there you go.
don't you run the risk of, at that high of a speed on a front wheel drive car, especially with the back end so light since the engine's in the front? Does the back end ever kind of come back
The
around from you?
whole car feels light when you
if
start.
you're on slicks, you're floating, stopping. It's kind of weird at 155 because you're sliding, and if you don't have the right brake setup, and you when you brake and it kind of goes to the right or the left or whatever the case may be, if you don't have that dialed in, you could lose it.
Yeah.
I mean, don't you feel a little lift?
Come around. Oh yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
that's what would make me nervous. All of a sudden, feeling that light lift.
At 155, are you running a chute at that speed?
It should be.
It's
It's
in the mail.
But because I've seen guys, especially at like World Cup, they hit the chute and the car is so light that it kind of lifts
Lifts
the
it
back up a
Yeah.
little bit on the chute. I'm like, oh my
So
god.
I'm learning a lot about the parachute, and because I just got one, if does depend on where you mount it on the back of the car, because it will lift the car or it could suck it down. Obviously, you want it a little bit lower to the center of gravity, but I'm still learning about that. I'm not an expert, but yeah, I'm learning. It does mention that, and it will lift the car.
Is there something about, like, I grew up at Lions. My dad was a drag racer and stuff. Is there something about, like, the nitro cars, the really, really crazy fast cars? It seems like the chute is always placed, like, really high. Is that because they have a fake body? It's
Yeah.
like,
That may be the case, but the mounting to the body, there's a cable that go, or I don't call it a cable. But
Yeah,
it's a
the
cord
deployment
that
thing, right?
It comes below the parachute, so
Yeah.
it's mounted lower.
Yeah.
Parachute might be I think it's 17 inches above that mounting point.
But the anchor point's low.
It is.
Okay.
Well, you were gonna say something, Eric?
Oh yeah, it doesn't matter if it's front wheel drive or rear wheel drive, all wheel drive. If it's too low, it will lift the back of the car up.
Oh.
And we've had it happen a few times, and it's it can cause a wreck pretty easy.
Yeah.
So you've probably got the most experience both front wheel drive and rear wheel drive here. So I want to come back to what you started, because you started with all your V8 stuff, LS, and all that stuff, and then you went into the Honda. I mean, it seems like you're like full. You went full retard, right?
You should never go full retard.
Right? Those that have watched the movie won't be offended. Just say.
Yes.
Right, Jojo?
Oh yeah. I went full retard.
You still have your truck, and you're still into the LS stuff or whatever,
Yeah.
but you focus mostly on the import stuff. What's the kind of, are you biased to anyone's side now, or are you just still kind of in the middle?
No, it's I love them both. I love all. I mean, I'm a race car guy more than anything. I don't care too much about show cars, how pretty they are, whatever. I'm function. So, like when we met back at Willwood, I was the V8 guy and drag race guy, and they just all assumed I hated Hondas and hated imports. And I'm like, nah, man, I actually did a Turbo B Series CRX in college and never really finished it because I didn't know what I was doing and no one else around here did. And then I raced Fox bodies for a long time. Then I got into LS Camaros, raced those for a long time. I still have my 67 Camaro sitting in the barn. And then the turbo truck you talked about.
Yeah.
And the Camaro.
It is way and
In the Camaro.
and a couple
Touchy
other
subject.
yeah, a couple
I love
other,
that Camaro.
That white one?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
that
it's
was my
a caged up Camaro.
yeah, that one too. I have a bunch of cars. I have way too many cars.
that was my first
I can relate.
F body car that I liked.
But,
It's a cool car.
Yeah, they it is no doubt it's way easier to go faster with a V8 and rear wheel drive.
Yeah.
But when I was racing, let's call it somewhat competitively. Like, I mean, I'd go to events, first round out, but whatever. There was nobody out that was my peer out there. There was older dudes that were kind of salty and not friendly.
Yeah.
And then there was the big money guys that have no time for you.
Yeah.
And some of them were cool, some of them weren't. But and I'm still friends with a lot of those guys, but it's not the same. We met up with Dustin. Like Dustin said, when I was his supervisor, so I trained him at Willwood. And we're like, I don't even know if I vibe with this guy. Like it was like a lot, man. It came coming, it was a lot.
You guys are kind of like ice and fire.
You can't put me in an office.
Yeah, and
Everybody's laughing if we're in an office.
yeah, and we were cool, and I liked his little Honda. Like he had just got the EG. It was like this candy painted car. Hadn't even seen it yet, other in pictures. I'm like, yeah, you should do a K all motor because I've heard they're cool. I don't know anything about them, but they're cool. And he builds it, brings it in, it's rad. And then he calls me one day, like at 7 or 7:30. He's like, hey, man, I just blew up my car. I'm not going to make it into work today.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I just told him, I'm like, I called out too. I didn't want to go in. So he's like, hey, you want to be my best friend and come help me pull the motor?
That is a good friend. That is a good friend.
Wow.
It was on the fly.
Yeah. And I'm like, I don't even know where you live, man.
Oh, it's cool, dude. Here's the address.
So yeah, I went over to his house. I probably got there around 11 or so. Wasn't in a hurry. We had the motor out. We had another one sourced out in LA at Jerry built. Went and picked it up that night. I think we even landed. No, we got back that night, pulled the cover off. It found it was blown up or hurt already. Called Jerry, went back the next day, swapped the motor, had the car running by Saturday afternoon with a new motor in it.
That's awesome.
That's a cool way to make a friend,
Yeah, it is.
whether you want to or not.
That's cool.
Jack in the Box is better.
So, speaking of K-swapped motors, I'm going to talk about something here. Could be very controversial. I know, John, you have a lot to say about this too. So for that, guys that don't know, in the Hondas, there's two very popular types of engines in the Honda swaps. It's the B series, which is the later model.
You should have a horn for that.
And then there's the newer K swap, the K series engines, right? And there's a much heated debate about what is better. First, I see on your Instagram posts, your memes about the B and the K swaps.
I just like doing it just because it's fun to stir the pot.
Well, yeah, because a lot of people
People get passionate about it.
Passionate's the right word. I would say more like assholes about it.
No, like people do. It's
Yeah.
It's yeah.
So B series versus K series engines. What's your guys' take on it?
K is a superior engine.
But if you're gonna be B, you need to be turbo if you want to be competitive.
Yep.
Yeah.
See,
Well,
Almost
I
plugged
will-
from
okay.
the Vortec.
So
Don't want my
correct me if
opinion.
I'm wrong. Isn't the fastest Honda a B series?
Yes, it
it's
is.
still
It's
still
an
B
all-wheel
series.
drive B
Yes, it
series.
Yeah, it's still a B
Be
series.
serious.
Yeah.
Be
Yeah,
serious.
but
be
you-
serious about your build and get a B series.
You got to remember though, all three of us have higher horsepower cars than Alex, and he beat us all in a D series.
Yeah,
no,
Hey,
no,
you
yeah.
need single cam.
yeah,
Yeah.
He had a B series transmission.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He did.
So it's all about trans, not the motor.
Well, when you put at that power, you
Yeah.
gotta put a lot.
You gotta put
into
it to the ground.
transmission.
Well, yeah, but you're talking about a D series, a single overhead cam that came in his car stock, right? And it was, it's a 1.6 liter. It's a D series. It's
100 horsepower stock.
and it's like 100 pounds lighter as an engine. So the issue with the D series platform is he can make 500. So he made 500 on this D series, but they don't make a D series transmission that can handle it. So you mount it to a B series, and then he could leave full power because it doesn't make the torque like a dual overhead cam with the same amount of boost. So like Jojo's 900 horsepower B series, he's on borrowed time with that stock transmission because that kind of torque
Chew
and
it up,
power,
isn't
it's
it?
going to chew up that trans.
right.
Now you take a trans though that can handle almost 5, depending if you don't dead hook on it, and you know how to get out, and you put it to an engine that doesn't make the torque to blow that thing apart. You can
And a
leave-
featherweight car.
And a featherweight car. That's the recipe, So like there's so much you can do.
Yeah.
and it's the
It's
approach.
a mix match game.
Yes, it is.
A lot of the controversy too is also around the cost aspect, especially nowadays.
Hmm.
Like I'm not afraid to say it, I have a stock GSR. Like I know I have a Vortec that I'm slowly
Stock
doing.
GSR engine in your
Stock
car.
GSR. Yeah, mine's stock GSR.
Ain't nothing wrong with that.
Nothing
That's
wrong.
how I beat this guy. Stock GSR on turbo.
Well, like I don't even have I don't even have boost. I still have like the stock manifold. I'm putting a header on it. Like the car's been slowly getting there because like I have an issue where I don't know what the heck I want to do with the car at some points.
I think we're all at
And
that
so
point, are we?
like what's funny is like right after my son was born, me and my wife were like, okay, we're going to be saving up for a house. Okay, so what are you going to? Well, can we get one thing? Sure. And I was actually going to go okay. I had someone who was going to buy my swap, and I was going to go okay. I was like, I want a little bit more power. Like the GSR is fun. It's better than my single cam, but I want more power. And then I'm just scrolling at 1 a.m. on Facebook Marketplace. Oh, this dude's got a Vortec supercharger kit for the V series, and so I messaged him and I like take my money.
Why did you you wanted to go to a K swap to get more power?
I wanted a little bit more power, and like because I'm starting to get more into like where I want to start doing like track racing and I want to start doing stuff like that. Everyone likes to say that my car's a show car. I don't think it's a show car. I just drive it along and it just
Pretty
looks nice.
clean.
Yeah, it's clean. Like it's never won an award or anything, so like, it's not a show car. But yeah,
I would say it's not a show car because you drive it. Like I mean,
I used to
at
take
least.
it in the canyons.
Yeah,
too.
yeah. But I mean, you're right. It is probably one of the cleanest Hondas out there. It's super. I mean, your car is pretty clean. You could say your car's a show car too. Because your car's super
mine
clean.
got.
Yeah,
we
both
did
of
the
them
same
clean.
thing. We did a Canyon by blowing up 2 motors in it from racing it.
Yeah.
And that was just because the valve dropped, and we spent all day talking about what to do and what not to do.
Yeah.
You put a supercharger on it, it's gonna be a show car, man. That's a heat maker.
That's a heat.
It's going to be.
It's a heat maker. I'm just letting you know.
No, Feldman gets on me. Like I've had 3 super. That's now my 3rd supercharger I bought, and I have yet to put it on.
yeah.
And so I mean, it's like I keep selling them.
I got a
heat
turbo
exchanger.
kit sitting in the shop. I'll make you a good deal on it. There you go.
No,
There's a
but
reason why we turbo Hondas.
I know. When I told Alex about it, and
Yeah.
he's like, no, no. But like going back
Not
to like,
daily. Not a daily.
oh, I don't deal with that car, so it's like, yeah. But
Well,
going back,
he daily is a reliable Subaru.
He does have a reliable super.
so surprisingly, my daily is a Subaru, and
The
my
turbo all-wheel drive is his daily.
my turbo all-wheel drive is my daily, and it's just like it's a giant banana. But
Is it yellow too?
yeah, it's Sonic Yellow.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
yeah. But no, going back to like the cost aspect of like the B and the K series, like back in the day, like K series were so much more money than the B series. Nowadays,
It's flipped.
You're almost flipped.
Really?
It's
Oh,
almost
fully
flipped. You can
flipped.
buy a K24 from HMO for like what, $1,200?
I can get anywhere from any of the importers for the right K24 from $800 to $1,000. It's the price of the B20 now.
What?
Yeah.
It angers
Do you
me.
know why though?
supply and demand.
Exactly,
Yeah, it's
because there's
supply
no
and
more
demand.
B series.
No,
that's
you-
gone. Anything we got from Japan is already done. There's no more coming from Japan. B series has been washed up for a while now.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
now it's becoming rare. And then the K series is getting rolled out of Japan because now they're going straight EV. So they're pushing EV out there. So we're going to get all the K series stuff. And it's just as flooded as how it was when B series was hitting the market, when Gabe was still doing it, when he was still walking.
Like that old man.
Hey, dude, watch your tone.
To give you some perspective, I bought my whole swap off of eBay for $2,200. Everything, ECU, transmission, everything.
Damn.
I had
remember those
Alex.
days.
I had
Remember that.
Alex rebuild the engine and threw it in the car. For what I'm into it, I can sell my motor for alone almost now. Like a GSR, like pre-rebuilt is like what, like $3,000 now.
We got 4. We got 45 for
You got
one.
45.
Just for the motor that we
For the
just
motor.
rebuilt. Just the motor alone. We had a
Yeah.
motor.
No
we had a
intake
couple.
manifold, no
Nothing.
header.
Really?
Yeah, just a rebuilt GSR is now like the price of what I went into.
So it's really who wants it, right? So you got to find somebody who wants it, who understands, and then
Yeah.
they're gonna. It's like in any market, right? So any market in this, like who wants it the most? You can be like, I built the C10 and I only put 30 into it, but you're gonna have somebody who likes what you built more than you, and it's gonna be like, I'm gonna give you 60.
Yeah.
That's the name of the game.
Yep.
Yeah.
But nowadays, a lot of people just go K just because the parts are more readily available.
Yeah, I mean, because unlike the B series, the K was in like almost everything that Honda made. Like it was in like it's all in all the Acura motor cars. The CRV.
Accord.
Well, the CRV had a B series in it too.
The
didn't it?
later one went K.
Yeah. So
That's where our all-wheel
the
drive
Honda
counts.
Element.
The Element, yep.
So it's just you're right. There are more K motors out there.
Yeah. The K is now the small block Chevy. I mean,
They put Ks in everything now. I've seen a K series E30 BMW.
Yep.
How about that VW?
Yeah,
The VW?
The VW.
You see the one with the VW?
the rear engine VW.
The rear engine
Yeah,
VW?
They do races in San Diego, I think.
Yeah.
Miatas too.
Miata.
Oh yeah, that's
We've
a
had some
popular one.
Miata people in here who
Yeah.
are like K swapping, right?
Yeah.
FRS BRZ. They
Yeah.
put them in those two.
Lotus.
Lotus.
Yeah.
S13s.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
No, I'm not doing it.
I
I'm
know.
not doing it. It'll go rotary before I put
Yeah,
a
I know, I
K
know.
series in
How about
it.
you put a K series in your RX-7?
All right, say
John,
Man.
John,
You're about to
Just put a V
turn his
in,
mic off.
Dan, can we cut his mic, please? look.
I only said that
I
because you
hate.
said
I hate how good that motor is. I really do. Like it's super reliable. It make cheap power, and it's very, very cost effective, right? But I just can't get myself to put that motor in.
I only said that because you mentioned it to me at Chrysler Coffee. That's the only reason why I said it.
But you know what though? At the same time, I could appreciate somebody who does it because I know it's not the easiest thing to do. And look, it's hard to knock a reliable 400 horsepower motor with like barely anything done to it.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So you're right. I would agree. It is like I'd actually consider like the B series kind of like the small block Chevy, and then the K series more like the LS.
Well, yeah. Yeah.
Because it's a newer technology. Maybe it's subjective whether you think it's better or not, but it's just newer and more readily available.
Yeah, no, like Dustin said, though, there's nothing wrong with the B series. They just need boost to be competitive. We had a customer brought in a 2-liter, 14.5 to 1 compression,
Oh, yeah.
giant cam B series, B20 VTEC,
CSS block.
CSS blocked. It made on E85 200 and I want to say just shy of 240 to the tire. My stock, or actually it was his stock K24 made 236, like stock with a header
Wow.
on. So
Yeah, it really
Fully
grinds
built.
my gears.
Don't get me wrong. Eventually, I'm sure that car will get a K series at some point in its life. But I don't know. I just like being different. So
sorry, I'm putting a B in a hatch right now.
Yeah.
you are.
It was going to get K'd. Everything was going to be K.
I had the whole case.
The green one. The green one.
Yeah.
Guess who convinced him not to? The B series.
I just want to drive out of his life with a street car and a
And
B
he's going to
series.
help build it.
Yeah, I'll build it.
Yeah.
But you're not gonna do it.
It's funny because Feldman, he said like, hey, when you get Dustin to tune that car, when you put the supercharger on, let me be there so then I can videotape your reaction when it blows up.
I won't blow it up, bro. That's
No,
on,
no,
that's
no,
on
no,
me.
yeah.
I won't blow it up.
So-
I know you wouldn't blow it up, but he was really saying because like, he is so against superchargers, and he's just like, I had text him, hey man, I just bought this, and he's like, sell it. That's what like
That's something Philman would say.
Yeah.
I just installed a Jackson Racing supercharger on that.
They still make those? Is it? They're not even.
They don't
business
make them
anymore.
anymore.
No,
right?
they don't.
They're
Okay.
so expensive though. Holy crap.
They're. Yeah, I've learned a lot, and the kid that he did a lot of research more than I did, I didn't put that much time into it. This is how I learned they heat soak a lot, and they need a bracket and all sorts of things. But he put a heat exchanger on it, and the heat exchanger acted normal, but it kept the intake temperatures down.
Yeah, so that's what I'm doing with the Vortec. When I bought the kit, it came with everything except for the air to water cooler and like the power cooler, because it was on the show car and he only drove it off and on the trailer.
So is the Vortec one that you're talking about? Is it like
it's got that fat bar that goes across?
Okay,
yeah.
so more like a bracket blower, I guess. What you guys would
Dan,
call
are you
it.
keeping up with this?
Centrifugal. That's
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's got a fat bar that
so
goes all
you're
the way
gonna
across.
run like a intercooler?
Yeah, I want to run. So I actually have purchased it the other day. It's just a bottle style cooler.
Gotcha.
And then just have a heat exchanger.
Yeah,
that goes
yeah.
down,
So it's a air to water or water to air.
Water to air, yeah. If you follow Royer, he's the green hatch down in LA. He's the only other guy I know that's running one.
Okay.
And like he's done great work with it, and he's told me like little tips about what to do.
So you guys have mentioned on numerous times the other guys that you guys are connected with, whether it be Ali or this guy in LA or whoever, all over the place. What would you say that the community? I won't say just Honda, but maybe, I'll just say Honda for now because we're all talking about Hondas. Would you say this community is Eric? Would you say that compare this to like when you were racing your V8s and stuff? How would you compare the two types of communities?
For me, this is a way more open, fun community. I mean, look, Jojo and Alex and us, the rivalry is there, and it's huge, and it's constant, and that's what makes it fun. At least the V8 community that I got to race with in our area wasn't. It was a job. It was fun, but it was a job.
But you guys weren't being helpful off the track to like help each other do work on cars.
That was one big thing he had always said. It was the how do you say that?
Conglomerate.
Yeah, that's the word. That was the word he had used, and it really struck with me when he was talking about it, making that jump. Because I always knew Eric was like the V8 guy and all that stuff. But it's true because he broke his trans at the track, and who's helping us? Yeah. Alex is right there. The same person. Alex is right there.
Same person I just tried to race.
You know, and that's it. It's like, all right, cool. So because it's what is it? Any publicity is publicity, right? So if that's what people love drama. And that's how we figured out. People love drama. Yeah. So you could just create this drama, and next thing you know, we're texting each other laughing about it, right? Like Jojo's last one that he just posted. You gotta follow him, the blacksmith. That thing is amazing. This
I have a popcorn. I'm just eating when I see that stuff going on.
It's great. But then when it comes down to it, it's like, hey, do you have this part? I need this part. Yep, cool. Come, I'm gonna swing by.
I want you to be faster.
Yeah, and
I want you to win.
So if you saw somebody at the track, whether it's a Honda or a V8 or Mustang, whatever, you would offer help to a fellow racer. It doesn't matter what car.
They come up to you. You know, at the track events, especially or anywhere, you wouldn't be shy to ask somebody for air or something.
I mean, I've had great experience at the track, but of course, I was also racing with also other import guys. I think a lot of the domestic guys, they don't even know what they're looking at when they see a Honda. They're like, "What? Your wheel's in the wrong place," you know. So I don't know. And this is a question that I'd love to even hear from our viewers, or maybe you guys can chime in. Is like, do they not help out the imports because they just don't know it, or because they don't want to help import guys? What do you think?
I think it's just racing rivalry. Because I'll go to a TNT event at Bakersfield, and you know those guys are running real fast. Really fast, top fuel, like you said, nitro, and you learn a lot. They are very helpful in the staging lanes. In the pits, I don't think so much. But if you're in the staging lanes, they'll ask you a bunch of questions about your car, and you get to do the same. You learn a lot from that, but I've learned in the pits, it's kind of you better be prepared. You know, to do what
I
you
get it.
do.
If you're being competitive, you got to work on your own thing first. I get all that. I want to assume that everybody's cool back and forth, but I hear it's more bias on one side than the other with the domestic guys talking crap about the import guys. Because for the longest time they were faster, but that's changing.
They're still faster, but
they're faster.
The thing that with me because I'm not going to say like the V8 guys or the Honda guys or any of them were better or worse or friendlier or meaner. When I was doing the V8s, I was the young guy, man. I was the 19, 20, 22-year-old, and everybody else was 40 plus. I think that was the biggest gap for me. And I was new, and they were all seasoned at it. And so it wasn't that they had a different car. It's just now all of us are mid to late 30s and doing the same stupid Honda thing.
Hey, I'm not 30 yet. I'm not 30 yet.
But you're not racing. You pointed this way. Don't
I
worry.
turned
You're
30 in
good.
3 months. Okay.
Yeah, but you haven't come racing with us yet.
I know.
That's fine.
I want to start doing more track like Willow Springs.
Yeah, that's fun. I want to also. I haven't yet, but someday.
So you just
I was going to say, you guys get, since you work on everything,
Yeah.
you get people come in with a certain car and they say, I want this and this, and you guys are like thinking to yourself, no freaking way can you do that.
400 horsepower B series.
Oh, God. B20, you mean?
We're not gonna go there.
There's got to be, you have to hear all kinds of crazy things and think to yourself one thing, and then
But it goes back to learning, because those, you're teaching someone what to look for, and then therefore they can take that informed decision on their own.
Okay.
But yeah, you get a lot of stories like, yeah, I want to do this, and then you'd be like, yeah, you probably want to steer your focus here first, but it's kind of hard to get somebody to do that. And it's just with anybody that wants something, they really want it, and they don't know how to get there. So it's good to teach somebody how to get there and watch them grow. I love that part, at least.
I was about to say, I would imagine it takes some self-control because you're thinking one thing and hearing them saying what they want.
Crushes them.
And you're like, oh, man.
Oh, yeah. But hey, to be fair, he does have a decent car now. So,
I want to pick up my car with a turbo on it instead one day.
that wouldn't be a bad thing necessarily,
It won't be.
assuming it runs. Yeah.
I have the original Turbonetics kit from, I want to say, 99.
Oh wow.
The whole kit.
where they
from
had an
Turbonetics.
added injector for the fuel
Yeah,
on the
two-
charge.
Oh wow.
On the
And
charge.
MFU.
Oh,
The
wow.
MFU is gone.
Wow.
But yeah, I remember Bubba from Do It Dyno installed it and tuned it for me, and it ran forever for, I'd say, like 7-10 years.
Oh wow.
Until I raced him.
Yeah.
And then, I got 10 years out of it.
That's good, though. That's good.
Stock B20. Stock
Wow.
B20.
400 horsepower.
Yeah.
So, hey, so is it safe to say, since you guys have been doing this for, not you so much, but decades, you've been doing the Honda thing, the Honda game. I don't want to call it a game, but
We're old, huh? He just aged us.
Wow.
I got great.
It could be a decade. It could be a decade and a half. For me, it's decades.
Yeah.
But would you guys say that you'll always be doing Hondas?
I just like cars, man.
Yeah.
I like race cars. And if it's Honda, if it's Mazda, if it's Chevy, Ford, I don't care.
Yeah, like right now we got a Nissan in our shop, right?
Oh, yeah, about
we got
that.
a Nissan in our shop. We have a Falcon in our shop. We have
68 Mustang.
68
But I
Mustang.
mean, for your guys' personal builds, like
Me
personal cars?
personally, I do have an agenda. After I hit my goal with my B series, I do want to build something, I'd say, fully retarded. Like I've seen these guys at the TNT at the quarter mile. They're just blasting off, and I'm just like, oh yeah, I want whatever that is that makes the ground rumble like
Wow.
that. Because you could feel it, like at least a block away. I would say at least.
So you're talking nitro? You want?
Yeah, I want something that's gonna.
I would
touch
say
your
that's
chest.
full retard for sure.
Yeah. But
It's
after
gonna be
that,
insane to drive something like
Screw
that.
blower and zoomies.
so whatever it takes to get there, that's after my goal of getting a dog box for my Honda. So
Would you do that with a Honda motor?
I technically am doing
Yeah.
to the max it can do, but I've seen these guys in these V8s, and I don't want to do a wheelie. Never really was about that life, but I do want to get down the track as fast as possible.
Oh, sounds like all of you guys. Oh, I mean,
No,
not
I want a Continental. That's what I've been telling this guy. What is the year? No, like
The
for real,
suicide
like,
door
The
Conti.
suicide door Continental.
Like a 65
that's the one I
66.
want with a coyote swap in it. I want to tune it myself, and I want to make that my. That's where when we're going back to dream car. I didn't know what my dream car was. I just knew I liked to do what we do. But after being on the dyno so many times with everybody else's car, and I have this thing where I don't drive customers' cars on the street anymore, with an exception of yours. I did take it out just to see, but like I don't drive them like they're mine anymore. I used to street tune, so I had that risk, And then things changed, got my Class A, I had a kid, and I do see the risk in it. I see the risk in all that. So I really we've been pushing the track stuff a lot more because it's just safer, it's a controlled environment.
Yeah.
Because people don't realize what they got to lose until they've lost it or until you've taken something from somebody else, and it's serious.
And we've had this discussion a few times on the show.
So it's really, and then our name's behind it. So at the end of the day, we also got to be professional about this, right? So you're gonna do what you do with your car. I really get my fix tuning these cars, like me and his car on the dyno, dude. Like we need someone to stand on it to hold it down now because he's past 7 something and we're not able to. That to me is cool. And then the journey for me has become that as my hatch sits in the garage collecting dust until Gabe throws another Cars and Coffee, and then I'll just hit it with the California and take it out. But ultimately, I want to do something like that. That's one where I want to, I always have the passion for Hondas, but Eric says is the passion for cars, right? Is there. But that's the one I want. I've always just wanted one of those to cruise, put it on bags, on 20, a 24-inch wheel, real white boy style though, because you can go you know what I mean though? And have that.
Can you define white boy style?
If you could pull them up, we can just be like, oh, I know who owns that. I know who owns, So.
And Dan and I will explain.
There we go. But just real a real clean, and I already know the color. I want that. It's like a cherry black. So when the sun hits it at night, it looks black. But when the sun comes up, it's you see that cherry
deep color.
That deep So that's I have my vision for where I want to go with this, But I will always have a passion for tuning people's cars, tuning our own cars, trackside tuning our people's cars, and the challenge in that, and just being a part of it. I don't need to be the driver anymore. For me,
I do.
You see, you keep people like that around that want to be the driver. I want to be the guy that makes sure that you get down the track, though. Yeah. So we got a pretty good team here.
So you're more about the build than the drive.
You know what? Yeah, because I learned that because how many builds I've done, and then at the end of the build, after the struggle, after the F this, hate this car, then get through it, many nights of wrenching, telling the wife, I'm gonna be in 20 minutes, and she already knows 20 minutes is 3 hours. After you get so far, and then. It's not that you're over it, but you want to do another one, and then you're like, the car that you would never sell, not sell it for the right money. And then when you start saying, well, everything has a price tag, then, because then you got other things in life that, there's no price tag.
Joe, what about you? I would bet you're the drive more than the build.
I like the journey. Honestly, I'm technical guy, so whatever will make the car faster, I will get. And then I will test it and figure it out. And I do like the satisfaction of making my machine work. Work properly the way I want it to work. Haven't quite got there with everything.
We're all work in progress, right?
Yeah, but I keep breaking things,
What about you, Eric? You the drive or the build?
I like the drive. I do enjoy the build. I enjoy the creativeness about it. I enjoy the finished sense of accomplishment. But I love driving. I love racing. Like I was telling them the other day, what makes me I don't go to a club. I don't go drinking. I don't go partying. I like racing. That's
you guys don't need to go to a club. You are the club.
Yeah.
Spearmint Dyno. Come on, let's go. What about you, John? Drive or the build?
I would say kind of both. I don't really have much experience racing like these guys. I know I'm on the younger side, but for me, it's more like the journey, like how Jojo said, building it. For me, that car is a representation. I can't even speak right now.
Representation
of where I've gone through in my short amount of life that I have compared to everybody else in this room.
Sure.
So just for instance, that car has been with me through a really bad breakup, two really bad breakups. It's gone, but at the same time, I taught my wife how to drive stick shift in that car. I can't wait to have my kid in that car, and take him for a ride in it. But every main aspect of my life that I've hit a milestone, that car has also kind of changed. And so I find that really...
The car's kind of grown with you and
it's
your
kind
family.
of no, exactly. And it's kind of ironic that it's the same year as my birthday. So it's in 94. I was born in 94.
Shit, I'm old.
Yeah, I know. I know I'm young. Okay, whatever. But for me, it's I hear all the stories that my dad says. I hear the stories that these guys are talking about.
Yeah.
For me, it's I would love to have a shop one day where I have just play around with and do whatever I want to do. I'm working.
What you wish for.
I know, but I'm working towards that's something that's working towards that.
Good.
But for me, it's I want to make a name for myself outside of for my dad tells me all the names.
Outside the purple Honda guy.
Outside, well, yeah.
You don't want to be a one-trick pony.
I don't want to be a one-trick pony. That's why I got into Subarus, and then I blew one up, and that was not fun.
Yeah,
but
it probably wasn't your fault.
No, it was definitely my fault. So
Being nice.
so like I bought Gary's FRS from him.
Yeah.
And that was fun. I'm not going to get a lie. I'm like, it was turbo. It was my first turbo car. Loved it. But then there was nothing for me to build on it.
Yeah.
Everywhere I did it, it was always Gary's car.
Yeah.
So our friends Ed and Jazz went with us. They said, "Hey, we know you want a Subaru WRX really bad. Friend of ours has this white one. Bought this white one. I spun the bearing like 3 months later.
Oh, wow.
And that's mostly because I didn't know how to drive a turbo car that much. And
You mean maintenance a turbo car?
well, not, yeah, maintenance was one
Take
thing.
care of the car.
You
Maintenance was
break
one thing.
it, you build it again.
Yeah. Well,
It's
like
part
I
of it.
was going to build it, and then my wife wanted a car too, and so Ed and Jazz went with us to up north to buy the yellow wagon.
Yeah, we used to work with Jasmine.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yep.
Yeah, so they went out for the 6.5 hours up north, and we still have that car now. But like even now, like I'm scared to do anything to that car.
Yeah.
He had a Subaru.
Yeah.
And he didn't do anything to it either because he knew.
Yeah.
No.
It was fun, but I knew it was a time bomb.
So like the issue with the white one was I found out that I had a downpipe on it, and that downpipe was meant for an STI turbo and not the WRX turbo, and it had a little flange that you're supposed to cut off, is what I was told. And the wastegate got shut open, and I overboosted, and like the Cobb Access Sport said I hit 20 pounds of boost.
We all have hard
Stock
lessons to learn
line.
sometimes.
But regardless, but going back to Hondas, it's just that car has been with me. I've had that EF hatch too, and that one that was cool though because at Cars and Coffee, I blew the head gasket at Cars and Coffee. In that EF.
How do you blow out of Cars and Coffee?
I don't know, but that car was a pile. But like, it was overheating on the way there, and it started bucking on me.
First signs right there, right?
First signs. And what's cool though is that a bunch of people came over and like we went to O'Reilly's and got a bunch of tools and we're trying to figure
That's
out what the
cool.
heck happened in the parking lot.
Across the street. Yeah, it's pretty much right across the street, right?
Yeah, but like
Yeah,
the car
yeah.
was parked at
Yeah,
Cars and
yeah.
Coffee.
What about you, CJ?
that's
I mean,
fine.
I know you haven't had a lot of builds, but you're interested in more of the drive or the build? Are you interested in doing a build?
I like the experience. I'm just a total experience guy. It's like, we have the 61 Corvair, right? Anybody here driven a 61 Corvair?
Nope. I've heard of it.
I had never driven one in my life, seen them entire lifetime, and this thing is the funkiest thing to drive. I mean, it's like wonky. It's like in a bathtub, and you're driving around, and there's no power steering. But it's the experience of being in that car and go, wow, this thing is so weird. This is what it felt like in 1961 because the car's been totally restored.
Right.
So it's not like, I did a shitty ass job on it or anything. It was just, this is the way the car is.
Yeah.
And so, I enjoy that car one way, and I enjoy the Porsche another way, and I enjoy the Honda Odyssey another way. But I'll tell you this, sitting here listening to you guys talk about Hondas and Integras, I want to go back and get another Integra.
Oh, you're in the wrong room saying
Oh,
that.
man.
You better be careful. You got
What
get
do
these.
you
I
want?
love that
All
car.
these guys got a little chubby now as you said that.
Man. No, I mean, I that was one of my favorite. I'd say until I got the 911, the Integra was the car. I love that car.
You thought VTEC kicked in before.
Yeah.
I'll show you how to.
No,
Hey,
no.
could you guys imagine CJ in his Integra GSR, whether it's a 4-door or 2-door, with
Four-door,
a K-swap in it, with
Oh, you'd
some
love it.
some
Oh, I'd
juice,
love it.
some
Yeah.
juice on it, or even juice on the B series.
yeah.
I think he'd probably.
B series velocity stack. You'll hear it more than anything, but you'll
So we have
notice
to be
it.
careful with what language we use here because Beth is going to watch this show
Okay.
and she's going to go, "What are you thinking about buying?" and
It's
how
a
loud is it going to be?
4-cylinder economy car.
Yeah,
That's all you
okay,
got to
there
tell.
we go.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll tell you what, it'll be cheaper than the Porsche that you're looking at.
Yeah,
Sorry,
that's
Beth.
true. That's very true.
Great
Yeah.
gas
That's
saver.
true.
Great
And she
gas
liked the
saver.
Integra too. In fact, funny story about the Integra. So we weren't married yet. This is 94, and I'm driving Integras. So I think I've told this story before. I went into the dealership in Fresno. I said, "Hey, I want to test drive your GSRs." And they laughed. They go, "You don't test drive a GSR. You just test drive one of the regular ones, and then if you like that, we'll order a GSR for you." And I didn't believe them. So then we come down here to Ventura. Beth was living in Santa Barbara. So we walk into the Ventura Acura dealership, and I said, "Hey, I'd like to test drive one of your GSRs." And they go, "You don't test drive a GSR. You just place the order for one." So I went back to Fresno, bought the GSR. I got the 4-door, and I surprised Beth with it. So Beth sees the car for the first time. She goes, "You got 4 doors?" And I said, "Yeah, the back doors are for the car seats for the babies." How romantic is that? Oh my God, you got
All right, I'm
4
gonna
doors.
keep
with
her.
a
I'm gonna
baby.
fact check you, man.
You better.
I'm
you
gonna
better.
fact check you and see if Beth actually cried and said that.
Well, she didn't really cry. She went. Okay.
The back pedal.
But she loved the GSR too. So I think if I ended up saying, "Hey, I'm going to go buy another Integra," she'd probably say, "You better have 4 doors."
Well, she does like the Honda. She likes the
does?
Honda game. She drives the Acura.
And she does.
You know, she likes the minivan-ish. You know.
Yep, yep.
That might be.
Has she cooled off on the Mercedes wagon? Because she was pretty hot when we did that
Yeah,
thing in Santa Monica. She was pretty hot on
She
it.
hasn't mentioned it much lately.
Okay.
So I think that's why I like some wiggle room for the Integra.
Yeah.
Sneak that in there.
Yeah.
I fully endorse this decision.
I think an Integra could definitely be in your future soon.
Could be.
You know.
And then I take it to these guys.
Yeah, we'll change.
Oh,
the
yeah.
trailer
And I don't tell
bushings
Beth anything.
and-
Yeah.
Oh
exactly.
yeah. You might have to register it in another state after they're done with it, but you know, it'll be fine. How about you, Dan? Are you about the build or the experience?
I've never built
Well,
a car.
so you build guns. That was-
Yeah, well, I grew up racing motocross, and we definitely built motocross bikes. So I get the flavor of what you guys are talking about. But the only semi-fast car I ever owned was a BMW 325, and I don't like BMWs anymore. But
No one here likes
but
BMW.
I have driven an Integra, not a GSR, just a regular Integra. My neighbor used to have one, and I rode in it with him, and he let me drive it. And they are badass cars. They're great cars. They're like
I've
they're
never
like
heard anybody
they're
say
like the
Integra's
Honda.
badass.
No, but they're like a Honda Plus. You know what I mean?
Oh, sure,
And
sure.
you get into the whole, R whatever they are, Type R's
Yeah.
and all that stuff, and it's like that's a pretty cool car, and I see what they sell for.
Yeah.
And I see the fanaticism out there in the community about them, and it's like there's got to be a reason.
Yeah.
You know?
What do you got? What's your thoughts about the Type R versus GSR?
Type R is just
Is
a-
there? I mean, do you guys change them up so much?
There-
Does it really matter that much?
Yeah,
Or
it matters a lot,
Okay.
especially with the castings of the engine.
Okay.
Type R is superior, but you could put Type R cams in a GSR, or CTR cams in a GSR,
which is the Civic Type R.
Civic Type R.
okay.
And I made 900 horsepower on Civic Type R stock cams.
Man,
Wow.
What's a big ass
Crazy.
turbo?
No, it was
Yeah.
just like, what, 36 pounds.
You didn't do that on the cam alone.
They are, yeah.
well, and just for anybody for just a point of reference, the GSR, my '95 GSR, was 180 horsepower stock.
Yeah, on a good day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're getting 900.
Yeah, it was bigger than
That was only
average, though.
only using the cams.
only
though.
using the
Still, man.
really just the casing of the engine because the sleeves
Yeah.
have been changed.
Yeah.
That's
the
crazy,
pistons,
though.
rods.
Still a
have been
GSR head
changed.
though.
Yeah,
I mean, it's not even really that worked on. I mean, it might be.
it's a little touched.
Not. Yeah.
Man.
But we
Yeah.
just had an Integra in that gentleman uses for road race, and he had I think it was a JDM Type R. So and those are rare to see, So still they did head stud it, but it was the stock piston, stock cams, and he uses it for road race. And we put it on our stingy dyno, and he pulled 200, and he was like, he wasn't looking for max power, and it was completely stock. The intake stock with an exception of the intake, the cold air on it, but
And a decent header. And
yeah, and it had a
that's about
decent
it.
header, no cat, like a little motorcycle, because he uses it for the track, and they do like button willow and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And to see that thing pull 200 to the tire on our dyno was pretty impressive.
Which is probably like what 220 something to the flywheel.
Yeah,
Yeah.
probably started around there.
Yeah.
230.
Yeah, because your 180 GSR, that's at the flywheel. From the manufacturer, is probably closer to like 165 to the
Yeah.
wheels, 170 maybe.
yeah.
In stock configuration, yeah.
Yeah.
So, if you do like a similar, we think we've seen them like at 190-ish.
Headers make a big deal.
with the header and everything. So if you did like the Type R and the GSR, there's like a 10 horsepower noticeable difference that I've seen when we do similar setups like
You know
that.
what? That would be a cool. I just got it. I got the build for you guys for CJ. I got it. It's brilliant. You're gonna love it. GSR Integra. Aftermarket, get the most power you can, but still pass smog.
We can do that.
Yeah, you can do that.
Yeah, we
That's
can do
the
that.
car for you.
So we can get any car to pass smog.
Because okay, turn off the mic. No, because here's the thing, I'd be willing to bet that car tuned up with decent suspension, nothing crazy, against your 911, granted, it's a totally different experience, but I'll be willing to bet you're gonna have more fun on the track in that GSR than you would in your 911.
Good, yeah. Fair.
I'd be willing to bet.
I remember driving the Integra, and there's even in my mind, they're still really close.
And that's a big car for Honda. That 4-door.
Yeah,
It's pretty heavy.
Yeah. Well, maybe you get the
Well,
two-door
and plus
now.
you put the babies in the car seat in the back, and
We don't,
heavier.
don't want to
your babies are all grown now, so you don't, unless you're gonna have grandkids soon, maybe you don't need the 4-door. Maybe you can get a 2-door.
two-door.
Maybe,
You know?
maybe.
I think the 4-doors are cool.
Yeah,
I like the 4-door.
Let's get them in a
Those
2-door.
DB8s are really nice.
yeah. 2-door, 4-door. What's the vote?
I prefer 2-door, but the 4-door is cool for different reasons. But I wouldn't. I would drag race my 4-door if I had a 4-door. But
Take passengers.
I've seen one probably a long time ago with Nopi and all those guys, Nopi
Yeah.
Nationals, and I forget that event. They did a long time ago, but yeah, they had some unibody ones,
yeah,
4-door.
I don't know.
All right,
I
you
wanna-
guys got me thinking.
Yeah, I wanted to ask tell me a little bit about tuning, because I've been around tuners, two tuners in particular, and seen them doing what they do. And it seems to me like out of everything you guys do, there's a lot of voodoo there for sure.
So it's not.
It seems like it. It seems like
This
it.
is Islander
Because it's just
voodoo.
like
Yeah.
it's just like with your laptop, and you're sitting there and you're tweaking stuff.
yeah,
and,
so-
you know,
You are tiki, right? So you got the tiki dolls and the
Yeah.
you light a
dead
good torch,
chicken, you wave a
know,
dead
like
chicken over the
Romanian
engine,
thing.
right?
Yep. Gabe's got it. No, it's really not magic though.
It's just science. It's just
I mean,
engineering.
Math. A lot of it's
Okay,
math.
math.
And then depending on what systems you're working with, like I was just told by a tuner that I look up to, a really respectable tuner, because he was saying like HP tuners in specific is like built by engineers for engineers. That's why it could be a bear. Like you could use HP tuners to talk to a
HP tuners is a specific
the
ECU.
Yeah, the ECU
Okay.
or the program
Yeah, yeah.
you're going to use, and that's what you can plug into a lot of the OBD2 cars now today. And what it is they cover all these platforms, but it's not the same. So you can go into a Chevy, say Chevy. When you go over into like Dodge, it's like learning another language. Where tuning on a standalone is different. So like we can tune like we'll use Haltech as an example. Very good system. It doesn't matter if you're tuning a V8, a 4-cylinder, inline 6. The concept of tuning is the same. So when you learn how to work the software and what the computer wants, and then you obviously got to know what the engine's capabilities are and understand that. Most good tuners are also awesome builders because they are like, that's what you're going to be able to see. It's not that the computer's telling me, oh, you have an issue with this right off the bat. It's, I know there's an issue there because the computer, it's not doing what it's supposed to do from being on this end of the laptop.
Right.
That's when we know, hey, we got to pull this out because there's something wrong, or hey, we got to check the plugs because it's sputtering here. And I know that's not in a tune. It's going to be like, oh, the plugs need to be gapped down for this. And so that's a lot of it. It's just knowing, and you start as a builder.
But you would tune, like, obviously his 900 horsepower monster, that's a drag car, right? There's no other reason to have a 900 horsepower car generally, right?
I've drove that car every day.
Okay. Well, I'm interested in the goal though. Like if I come to you and I go, I want to build a rally car, or I want to build a 24-hour, not Le Mans, but I mean that kind of endurance car.
Right.
You're going to put a different tune on that car
Absolutely.
because
Yeah.
it's horsepower versus reliability,
Versus
right?
reliability.
The more you push it, the less reliable it is. Because that's
Absolutely.
racing, right? That's like all racing's that way, right?
Yep. And then with today's engines, where you got a lot of VVT in them, so now you're rolling cams, so it gets a little more tricky. So you want to know certain things, like how big is this cam?
So when you do your tunes, though, you're not always going for the same thing. I want max horsepower.
No,
it's
no,
like
that's how you
someone
blow
might
things
want more
up.
torque, or someone might do hill climb or something different where they have a different requirement rather than I just want max horsepower.
Right. And so exactly. So like, what are you trying to do? Like is the question, because that can also be like, hey, you're on the wrong system. You can't be running a Honda if this is where you want to go. You actually have to step up, pay a little bit more. I mean, you've put thousands and thousands into your motor. You can come out another couple thousand to protect that motor with a system that has the protections, has the abilities to achieve what you want to do. You're going to do a hill climb. We need to run 2 map sensors. I could tune it here at sea level, and 1 map sensor is going to see.
Right.
We're going to use the other one for a baro sensor.
For altitude,
For
right?
altitude.
Yeah.
So what that's going to do is like a lot of these standalones will do it. You're going to run 2 map sensors now, and you're going to use one. So as altitude changes, we can make that into the whole tune. So you're going to get the same amount of boost up there, or as you go up in altitude, your boost is less, right? So it's going to be able to tell the computer, hey, we're at this altitude. We're going to offset it. We're going to tell the boost controller, dump this much more, so we can make up for the boost loss.
Right.
So and then road race is a whole nother monster, because you're constantly in the higher RPM range.
Right.
So you want to make sure, like, because a lot of times I've seen where people's cars fail, first person to blame is the tuner.
Sure.
What about the builder? What about where you cheaped out on this part here? So it's a give and take on, and so when I tune specifically, I tune to the limit of the parts you've told me, that with my experience. And like, for instance, with Gabe, like, I didn't know much about the SR20, so what its capabilities. And so I went off what he said. He said they don't really like to rev over 7 because they like to rattle loose, But so I tuned it like a B20, but it's a built one. So like Honda's a B20 thing, but they have like the smallest sleeves. So I always got to be careful when you boost on those, because you crack sleeves. But he has a built one. So I knew that. And then also using your knock sensor. Use the tools you have there. Like a knock sensor will tell you when you're starting to get past MBT, maximum brake torque. And that's when you're getting into a danger zone. So like, you got to just pay attention to that stuff. And we were able to pull some pretty decent numbers out of it.
Better than I thought.
Yeah, pretty decent numbers out of it.
Now, have you tuned his rotaries?
Not yet.
Have you tuned
I know he wants-
rotary?
I have not tuned rotary.
So that'd be a new thing for you,
that
right?
would be a new thing.
Okay.
Once you get past, there's just a couple things like the firing angle for the because it's the firing angle for the injectors. So you got like you tune the firing angle of an injector to optimize fuel economy and then power as well. So, but once you get the setup done right, like using specifically a Haltech, once you get it running and everything idling good, you're still just tuning a motor. That's what I love about the standalone. I'm gonna tune it the same way I would any other motor. Just tell me, hey, what are the limits? Okay, we're going to 12,000 instead of 10, or instead of 8. Like, what are the limits? And you just tune like that. You're still gonna have, you follow certain things. I don't know if you'll learn when you start, but you got to get a I don't know. It's just one of those things where I feel like when you want to be a tuner and you want to start tuning, just accept the walls you're going to run into, but treat everything as a milestone and never a destination. So don't let that thing dictate to you. This car, like, I've had cars that were just like, but it didn't stop me. I've been defeated on cars before, and have lost sleep over it.
Sure.
And then, but all that did is make me grow, because that's not going to do, you can't let that defeat you. And it's just like anything in life, So then just put in the time. That's the thing. Like, the tools, the resources are out there to tune. And put in the time. So like, it's anything in life. Dude.
Well, the thing I dig about what you guys do is you guys are, it's a perfect blend of science and engineering, and I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
There's art there too.
Yep.
It's kind of like
Lots of art.
you could say, like fabricators. You look at fabricators, and it's like, man, look at those welds. Like, I mean, I'm not that into it, but I can appreciate, when I see. I've been around it, 5,000 horsepower engines, drag engines, and it's like, that is a mechanical work of art.
Right.
I mean, fired up, and it's just like, oh my God, it's vibrating the whole building, and it's just like, so I appreciate what you guys do, and that you guys are artists, but there's math, science, and engineering that's really driving it. But there's also, you could look at, hey, that's a Dustin tune, or hey, that's a so and so build, that's a Jojo build, or whatever. That's an
I feel like there's like this.
That's pretty
signature,
cool.
Yeah, with it's tuners in general, but like just everybody, builders and even enthusiasts. You put your spin in it. You have an expression. You're expressing yourself through your work.
Absolutely.
And as scientific as tuning might be, you still have. It starts with strategy.
Yep.
Your strategy might be different than the next tuner and the next tuner and the next tuner, right? And I love that whole thing about who gets blamed first as the tuner. But and also too, it's like everybody thinks they want to be a tuner because they think, oh, if I make a car go fast, or if a car goes fast, it's all the tuners, doing, and it's not always
it's
the
a
case.
team effort. It's a team effort for sure.
It's not any one thing. It's just like like a pizza. It's like it's like everything has to work together.
You got to find the clientele that's going to trust you with their build too.
Yeah.
You throw 30,000 in, is like, you're gonna do your research, because you just spent a lot of money, so you're gonna go with somebody who has a reputable name.
Right.
So like, we're still in I'm always gonna treat this journey as like, hey, I'm still building my name. Even though I got people that'll come to me, people that recommend me and stuff, but I'm still building my name. So it's really. It's one of those things.
Well, we've had people in here, especially hot rod guys, but other guys too, where they're like, it's a so and so build. It came out of that shop, and then they bought it specifically because it came out of that shop.
Yeah, no
Porsches, hot rods, all kinds of stuff. I've heard Steve Feist say that.
Yep,
He
no
talked
doubt.
about, oh, it's this engine, man. Remember, I don't remember which engine it was, but he was talking about one of his cars had this engine, and he was like, oh, I
It was
want
built
that
by,
car.
yeah.
Yeah, because it's like a label. It's like a designer
like a
label.
last
It's
one.
like,
Yeah.
exactly.
Well, speaking of which, so like Ali, right? He has his shop's in here in
Yeah,
Ventura,
it's
right?
right now, right
Does he
around from-
does he tunes as well, right?
He's a builder.
He's a builder.
He's more of a builder. You know what I love about him? I remember the first time he showed me how to take a Type R engine apart or a transmission. He knows the stuff that you hate to look at. So if you go to him, he'd be like, "Oh, I want to maximize this on my transmission." He'd be like, "Oh yeah, get this, and this. You can get it from this year Honda. You can get it from that. You can mix these things together." And I hated it.
He knows the formula.
He knows
right?
how to
Yeah, the
take
formula.
what he has
Right.
and make something great out of it. You know,
very
and
cool.
and that's like his stamp.
So
I
he's
would
a
say.
builder. You guys are builders. Who's the better builder?
What are we building?
Yeah,
Honda, obviously.
We could build. We're building an LS that's going to be putting down 600 all motor, and should be out and that I'm talking on on the Chevy platform.
Does he do
Yeah.
mostly just Hondas? Is he a Honda mainly?
He'll work on a lot of things.
He'll
but
work on
his-
a lot of things, mostly Hondas.
That's
you
his
know.
name. He's known as a badass Honda.
I've never met the guy, so sorry, Ali, if you're watching this. I don't.
No, he's a
But
badass
he's a great
Honda.
guy.
But I love how you guys talk shit to each other. So that's why I'll throw some fuel in the
Oh, yeah,
fire here.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
who's the better builder, or should there be a?
Oh, you know what? I honestly think because of him, he's made me a lot better. And because of me, I've made him a lot better in things.
Have you made Dustin better?
Of course.
better than him.
I got a saying, go big or go home, but it's a different spin on it. They'll never remember your name if you
Love
don't
that
do
line.
anything great. So I'm always pushing the limit, and I will forever push the limit. I want my friends to be right there to where I want to be. If I can't get there, I will boost you up and help you get there. And Ali is my favorite nemesis. He's a great guy.
I like that. Favorite
that's-
nemesis. That's good.
My favorite.
And that's
nemesis.
actually a good way to wrap this up, because we do have to wrap it up. We got another.
we got
have
another
next
show
guest
coming,
up
right.
here in
Okay.
just a few minutes. So
I hope
Too much
it's
fun
Ali.
with these guys.
yeah,
Thanks
and,
for
and I
having
forgot
us.
to start the clock, so I don't
Wait,
even know how long we've been going.
You're an
so-
hour and 26.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
all right.
Wow, we're good. We're good.
All right,
About
right.
average.
Guys, thank you so much for coming in. And since
Thanks
you're
for
down the
having us.
road, so tell it. Anybody who's watching this, they want to reach out to you guys with the name of your company, where you're located,
How do they
people
get a
can
hold
reach
of
you.
you?
Yeah, exactly.
Hit us on IG. If you can get us on Instagram, our website. I mean, it's there, but it's just there.
It's a placeholder.
Yeah, it's a placeholder.
Yeah,
but
IG is the hot tip
it's
for
the
people
hot, yeah,
nowadays.
exactly. You
Yeah.
can contact us there, and then you'll never forget the name.
there a
Spearmint
Facebook?
Dyno.
Facebook is there.
Oh, Facebook is
It's
there.
not super
For
active.
for
but, yeah.
those older guys that don't have, we like you.
And you guys are in Santa Paula.
Yes,
Santa Paula.
right
and
on the
it's-
airport.
Make sure if you Google, it's Spearmint.
Dyno with a D.
Yeah.
Yeah, otherwise you may get in trouble with a significant
So what's your
other.
IG? What's your IG handle?
Spearmint Dyno.
Spearmint Dyno.
Spearmint Dyno.
Yes, sir.
Or if you need an out to go on your little search, looking up the dyno.
Yeah. All right, thank you guys. I appreciate it. And
Oh, and John, what's your IG? If
Yeah.
you want to.
Main one like, for the Honda one is Camellia EJ1, so it's pretty
Oh, that's
self-explanatory.
you.
Yeah,
and,
All right.
as if you need a lot more followers.
I mean,
Man, you got a shitload of followers. So
I
you're
just-
about
I
to
don't
get
look
some
at
more.
it. I don't look at it that way. I just kind of like, you know what? I just want to meet people and learn as much as I go. I mean, I know I'm still young.
So I like that reaction. Oh, you're that guy.
Yeah, I mean,
I
it's-
follow, but people, you just so many after a while. You're just like, and my page is private, so I filter them because I hate the bots.
Yeah.
You get a lot of bots. You also get a lot of trolls, but
Trolls. I love the trolls. Though.
they're fun. But yeah, it's just Camellia _ EJ1. So I mean,
All right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. Thanks for coming in. Thank you, guys.
Yep, thank you.
We'll have you
Thank you.
back in since you're just right down the freeway.
All right.
All right. Don't forget, like, follow, subscribe. We have our YouTube.
Channel.
Thank you. And go to our website, westtulsa.com. Click on the tip line page. Fill it out. We'd love to have you here in studio. And we've had people from New Hampshire,
That's cool.
And we've had people all over the country
Back
coming
east
in,
and other states,
So
yeah,
see,
Oklahoma
it can
and-
happen. All right. Thanks for watching and listening, whatever you watch and listen on, and we will see you west of Tulsa.